This is like my lab environment. This is my virtual lab. I have Kali Linux as a VM, and then I have an Ubuntu desktop as a VM, and then I have my Windows host. So this is technically my virtual lab, and then I have other end devices on my network. So in this video, what I'm going to do is show you how one can use Nmap as a form of reconnaissance on someone's network to see what devices are connected to the network, what the operating systems may be, and the versions of those operating systems. So what I did right away is just kind of logged in, and I made it look nice. I wanted you guys to see two different operating systems. So I'm gonna open the terminals on both. And I do need to know what my IP address is on my attacking workstation. So I'm going to do ifconfig to get the interface. So it looks like my IP is 172.16.16.134. And I already know that this is a WAC24, meaning my network can only support up to 254 hosts. So the scan isn't going to take too long, but if someone is on a network, an unknown network, and they don't know how big it is, they would probably do, instead of like a 24, they would do like a smaller number, like 16, and then it would take a bit longer because they'd be scanning for thousands of hosts across a network. But for the sake of this example, I'm just going to do the /24 because I know this is only 254 hosts available on this network. And what I'm doing is nmap -ss. The SS is for a stealth scan. And one last thing I would need to put in is that lovely sudo, because I think I do need to run this as an admin. And as you can see, it was pretty quick. What it came back with is 250 IP addresses, and there are 6 hosts up. Okay, well that's good to know. Oh, one thing to note as well, I am not using a natted address. I am using a bridged address, and that's very important. So when you want to set up your lab, you want to use a bridged network, meaning you're going to be having virtualized network interface cards. So every operating system, every virtual machine that you have is going to be having its own virtual NIC, network interface card, meaning it'll have its own IP address. And I can show you that here. I think it's under network and sharing, adapter settings. So yeah, it's going to be here. So this is my Wi-Fi. This is my physical Wi-Fi card on my computer. And then I have this virtual NIC VMnet 8, and then I have this virtual NIC VMnet 1. So again, cannot stress it enough. Super important that when you are setting up your virtual lab, you want to make sure they have virtual network interface cards, which is on the bridged network. Okay, so going back to this, so this 172.16.16.1 is most often going to be the router, which it is in this instance. I know it is. I configured it. Usually standard conventions. Any kind of networking device is going to either end with a .1 or a .254, denoting the start of that IP range or the end of that IP range. So in this instance, I know that my router is up, and I know that it has some of these ports open. That I should probably close some of these. And then here's this. It has a MAC address of VMware. So we know that this is going to be this Ubuntu. And we can double check by doing it ifconfig on here. Oh, you know what? I don't have the tools. I just installed this. So let me install NetTools. And we can, I did ipconfig. So we can see that this Ubuntu machine is in fact that .206 address And it's in this environment, it's not too terribly difficult for me to realize that is what it is, because I know I'm running an Ubuntu desktop on VMware. But yes, we can see here that this 172.16.16.206 does coincide with what was scanned here. So what if we didn't want to play a guessing game and kind of comb through and see, okay, well, what's this and what's that host? And what if we wanted to get a little bit more granular and really learn about what's on the other end of that IP address? Well, we can do that. We can run a SV scan. This is going to tell you the service version, and then you can also do -O, and the O is capitalized. This is going to tell you the operating system on that said device. Now we can also add like a -P, and this is going to be for the ports, and we can just specify certain ports like 443, port 80, maybe port 8080, because you have to understand that through this scan, what it's doing, Nmap on the under the hood, is it's going to be either some form of connecting or requesting some kind of connection with that other device, whether it be a TCP or a UDP connection. And from there, it's going to be trying to see what ports are open. And, you know, each machine has over 65,000 ports. So it can take some time when conducting these scans. And sometimes professionals will kind of get a bit granular and know specific ports that they want to target and target said ports. So for this example, maybe we'll just do port 443 and see what comes up. What I did was actually change the ports. I added more ports, but I changed where it is because the semantics of it may matter. What I'm going to do is actually add a -V for verbosity, because I want to see what's going on, because it's saying it's starting the scan and then nothing's really happening. So I want to see what's going on and if it's getting hung up somewhere. There we go. So it looks like, yep, all these hosts are going to be down because, well, there's nothing connected to those hosts. And so it's telling us which hosts are up. Then it's telling us which hosts have some of the specific ports open. And now what it's doing is digging a little deeper and going to tell us what hosts have which operating system and what version those operating systems are. So I think this is where our scan's been getting hung up on. So we're going to let this run. It may take a few minutes. We're back, and it looks like the scan is finished. What we got from this is pretty important, though. So, for example, we know which hosts are up on the network. We know some of their ports that are open, and if it's open or if it's not open. And from there, we can kind of continue up the cyber kill chain, because this is probably more of a, not necessarily passive, it's a bit active reconnaissance, because we are being a bit intrusive, and we actually are a little noisy on my network right now, but that's fine. But what you do is you take this information and then you chain off of this information, and that's kind of what the cyber kill chain is all about. So to reiterate, this is how someone can use Nmap when they're on a network to kind of enumerate that network, get a better understanding of what's on that network, see how traffic is being passed and what operating systems they have and what kind of potential vulnerabilities they may have as well.